Before you proceed, please subscribe and click the bell button for more updates.
Good day everyone, my name is Teacher Claire. Welcome to another lesson of Assessment of Learning. In this lesson, we will be discussing the affective assessment tools. The learning objectives for this lesson is to explain the common affective assessment tools and to demonstrate how these tools are crafted. For the teachers, measurement of affective traits is more challenging compared to measuring the students' cognitive dimensions of learning. Although it is difficult to assess learning in affective domain, there are some tools that teachers can use in assessing learning in this area. For this, we have the direct and indirect affective assessment of the learning domain. The direct assessment of affective learning outcome is more achievable at the lower levels. For instance, a teacher can take online attendance in Moodle to measure students' willingness to learn. Thereby, teachers may consider the number of times the student were able to complete assignments and online activities. These are actually evidences at the responding level of the affective domain. On the other hand, indirect assessment is difficult to measure since it covers the internal states that exist in the mind and thoughts of the students. For this, the researchers are in the continuing effort to use a variety of methods where indirectly assessing the intended affective learning outcomes. Today, we will be discussing the common affective assessment tools. First, we have the Selfreport questionnaire or inventory. This is used when a student or respondent is asked to answer questions pertaining to his views, behavior, emotions, or feelings. In addition, it can be used when diagnosing students' emotional or intellectual state or even assess change in students' motivation, attitude, or interests before and after the instruction. Although this assessment tool is easy to administer, one limitation of this tool is the truthfulness or biases in the gathering of factual data. It is important to note that under a self-questionnaire or inventory, we can have Likert scale, semantic differential, and the checklist. Likert scale was invented by Francis Likert. This type of scaling gives different perceptions of what the students or respondents are feeling and thinking. Hence, the responses, whether in the descriptive or numeric form, range from one extreme to another, such as strongly agree to strongly disagree. However, using a numeric form, we have 5 as the numeric value of the extreme positive feeling, while 1 is the value of the extreme negative feeling. Moreover, this tool requires the respondent to rate or select on a scale reflecting the level of agreement or disagreement on items relating to a particular experience, issue, or topic. Here is a sample Likert scale. In this example, the student is asked on the extent he agrees or disagrees with the following views about geometry. With this, the respondent or student is requested to select only one option among the given choices. The most common scale labels with corresponding numeric values are 5 for always, 4 for often, 3 sometimes, 2 seldom or rarely, and 1 for never. Here are the guidelines in making your self-report assessment instrument. First, avoid factual statements such as the birthplace of President Duterte is Davao. This makes true or false answer and not a Likert scale. Second, statements should be relevant to the psychological construct being measured. You should have only one topic because if there are too many topics, the student or the respondent might be confused. Third, the statement should refer to the present condition. So when assessing the current feeling, then it must be in present tense. Fourth, avoid double negative statements. For example, a statement that describes his best friend is not ugly. Fifth, use vocabulary appropriate to students' level of understanding. And the last one, responses in the instrument should reflect progression or gradation. Lastly, the statement should elicit a response that lends itself to one interpretation, meaning the statement should be simple, clear, direct, and precise. The second self-report inventory is the semantic differential. This is another wide-used scale designed by Charles E. Osgood, an American psychologist in 1979. Another widely used scale that employs ratings of concepts with bipolar or contrary adjectives placed at the opposite ends of the scale. For example, we will assess the attitudes of students toward mathematics. We will notice that at the left side, we have exciting, while on the other side, we have boring as the adjective. So the respondents will just simply circle or check to identify their preferences. Here is another example of semantic differential. In this example, the students or respondents are asked to indicate their choice as they rate the new software. You will notice we have bipolar descriptions such as expensive versus inexpensive, convenient versus inconvenient, and lastly, simple versus complex. The third self-report inventory is the checklist. This tool is used to identify the presence or absence of a feeling, behavior, or attitude. In here, the behaviors are checked to reflect what feeling, behavior, values, or beliefs the respondents or learners are currently holding. For instance, you want to gauge or find out for students' perception about statistics class. So here, you will simply list as many words or adjectives as you want, and then you will just check on it. In this example, the statistics class is, we have the descriptions, boring, exciting, and stimulating, unpleasant, etc. Same with the checklist in social science class. Simply put, checklist is just checking what is present and what is absent on a certain construct or variable. Here's another affective assessment tool. We have the interview. Interview is an oral assessment of student learning conducted through spoken words and casual conversation. This assessment tool allows the teacher to collect and explore more in-depth information about the trait being assessed, which cannot be captured by written document or instrument. It provides students or respondents the opportunity to open their thoughts or ideas, while at the same time it enables the teachers to be flexible in adapting questions as the need arises. It must be noted, however, that interviews can provide the powerful moment of sharing, where learners or respondents are able to express face-to-face feelings and emotions. However, a prerequisite component to achieve this kind of excellent moment of sharing is trust. that is built up by the interviewer with the interviewees. Interviews may be structured or unstructured. In structured interview, there is a planned sequence of questions or interview guide, which lead to open-ended discussions between the teacher and the student, either by group or individual. Moreover, it takes more time because you are required to plan and prepare ahead compared to unstructured interviews. It must be highlighted that one limitation of the structured interview is the predetermined questions that limit the flexibility. Moreover, some important information may be missed or ignored because you are controlled by the list of questions you need to accomplish. For this instrument, here's the sample of constructed interview. An unstructured interview, on the other hand, will appear to be natural because it can create a more conversational environment for sharing. As a consequence, a teacher can elicit more truthful information from the respondents or students. However, in many cases, even when trust has been established, students may not be comfortable talking or sharing about their values and feelings when faced in a one-to-one conversation with a person. Here are the steps to conduct interview. First, select the assessment objectives. Second, list the oral question sequence based on the objective. Third, make a record note to capture both verbal and nonverbal behavior. Then, conduct the interview. So, the third assessment tool for affective domain is the student journal. This is an effective tool that can be used in assessing and monitoring students' thinking and attitudes. Journal writing gives students guided and opportunities to think aloud. Since it is a special form of documenting their personal experiences and thoughts, journal writing students gives opportunity to rewind previous experiences that may give them another point of view, and through journals, students are given the opportunity to open up and express their thoughts and feelings. Moreover, a written journal provides information for teachers to give feedback and ask questions, and while the primary intention of journal writing is to capture students' feelings and emotion, the discourse can lead to improving also the cognitive domain. Fourth assessment tool is observation. Observation involves looking for the presence or absence of some behaviors that you want to observe. Observation enables the teachers to assess students' behavior in an actual teaching and learning process. This technique gives a source of clues that can be both obtrusive and unobtrusive. Measures of character, attitudes, dispositions, or beliefs, and etc. For example, a MAPE teacher observes students play volleyball. At the outset, the teacher's focus will be on the skills, how they spike, pass the ball, and the teamwork. However, a teacher may also discover those who play a clean game and those who play on foul moves. Such behavior is indicative of affective characteristics like honesty and sportsmanship, which we aim to develop not only for the MAPE subject but across the school curriculum. There are actually two types of observation. We have the unstructured observation, which is open-ended with no formal recording. And the unstructured observation has been criticized because it's very subjective, taking into account personal interpretation of the observed data. The second type of observation is the structured observation, also known as systematic observation. The conduct of structured observation requires preparation for a checklist or rating form before the actual observation. In doing the recording, it simply requires a check on the yes and no for the presence or absence of the behavior. Next, it uses a non-participant method and employs a predetermined observation category. For instance, in MSU, when we conduct a demo teaching observation, an evaluation sheet is provided. In the rating scale, the evaluator will simply give ratings based on what was observed. Here are the guidelines in doing the observation. First, set a clear definition of the affective trait that must be observed. Second, prepare a checklist or rating that will define a specific behavior that must be observed. Third, ensure that it is free from ethical issues. Here's another sample of class observation rating form. Based on the DepEd report card, you will see the various behavior statements that serve as indicators of the DepEd affective goals. This tool is used as the official instrument of teachers in observing the behavior of their students. For your assignment, you will create two affective assessment tools, specifically the Likert scale and the structured interview tool. In creating a Likert scale, I want you to choose one affective goal to assess from DepEd. Then, create at least 5 statements, and on top of the 5 statements, write options for respondents to choose. For instance, from strongly agree up to strongly disagree. In making a structured interview tool, however, you will use or choose an affective goal and then create 5 interview questions. Along with that, make an interview report sheet. You can create your own template provided that on the left side, you reflect the list of questions, while on the right side, you provide a space where you can write the response of those questions. So that's all for affective assessment tools. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to download a sample affective tool, just click the link in this video description. So see you in my next video. Once again, this is Teacher Claire.